Good evening, church. Welcome to the June 5th edition of the Digest, and perhaps the most important edition of the Digest we will have for some time. Tonight, I want to walk through what will and what will not happen when we are allowed to worship inside the church. And because of that, I ask that you please be very, very attentive, and please share this with your family and friends so they're aware too. I need to begin by saying that we are not reopening this week. In fact, it might be many weeks before we are allowed to reopen. But as of today, no churches in New York City are allowed to worship inside the building. I also need to be clear, very clear. Just because your friend's church is doing something, or the church down the street is doing something, does not mean that it's legal and does not mean that it's safe. Also, very few churches have more than one worship service on Sunday. So that means different precautions than most other churches need to take. And that's what this video is for, to walk you through what you will experience as well as the why behind those decisions. I also need to say that things are still in flux. What you see in this video tonight might change, they might not change. We just don't know, and we just don't have all the answers yet. But what I will say is this: this reopening process has been taken very seriously. I take your safety seriously, and that's what this is all about. Your safety in the church and the safety of those who will worship after you. I cannot, should not, and will not risk your health and your safety to reopen. Everything will be about your safety. It will not be about just having worship for the sake of having worship. I've buried far too many people in the past 10 weeks to not take this seriously. We've gone through and gone over the recommendations from the CDC, from the state of New York, and even the recommendations of other church bodies throughout the country and the world to come up with this plan, again, for your safety. So, if you're ready, let's start with the ground rules. First, I do not know the answer to the when we are going to be back in the building question. The when decision will come when the government allows. The when decision will come when our bishop gives us the green light. The when decision will come when the smart people, the doctors and the scientists, tell us that it is safe to gather inside an enclosed space like the church. 2, I don't know how long these procedures will be in place. That decision depends on the same realities as the when decision. 3rd, these decisions are all about you, your safety, and the safety of everyone who comes to worship here. I'm going to say that again. These decisions are all about you, your safety, and the safety of everyone who comes to worship here at our Savior. 4th, because of that, if you are in an at-risk segment of the population, stay home. If you are or recently have been sick, stay home. If you have a temperature, stay home. If you are coming to worship, wear a mask and wear gloves. And if you cannot abide by these rules right now, stay home. Now, if you're coming to worship, you need to be aware of the following. And I'm going to give you both the what we've decided, and the why, the reason behind the decision. So we start with what to expect when you arrive. So when you arrive at church on a Sunday morning, we ask that you come up the steps, of course, where you will be greeted by the doors open, and you'll be greeted by a sign like this. Yes, masks and gloves will be required, but remember, it's about your safety. We're going to talk more about masks and gloves in just a bit. When you come into the entryway, you'll be greeted by one usher who will be in this area somewhere, who will be here to help you and guide you. The first thing you will do is pick up a worship bulletin from this table. They will not hand it to you, but you will need to pick it up yourself. Once you've done that, you can proceed into the church. The other signs on this table are not for until the end of worship. So let's go inside for now. Once you come in, mask and glove stations will be set up in the back of the church just like this on both sides. Of course, you'll be more comfortable wearing your own mask, but if you forget your mask at home, or if you never really listened to this video, then you can borrow one here. Yes, borrow. I'll talk more about that later. Gloves are also available here in case you forgot, and I will tell you what to do with them at the end of worship in just a bit. Again, look for the signs. This will be in the rear of the church. Then let's talk about seating. Once you're in the building and you have your bulletin, your mask, and your gloves on, another usher will be in the church to help you find a seat. Now, seats will be clearly labeled with a colored sign. There is a different color for each worship service. They are clearly labeled and clearly marked. Please sit at the sign designating a seat for your particular worship service. Please do not sit together. Please sit at a sign. Why? Every seat laid out this way is 6 feet apart from every other seat designated for your worship service. There's a second why. People who will be worshiping at the next service will not be sitting in a seat where someone else has already sat. In other words, if you follow these instructions, no one will be sitting in the same seat twice throughout the morning. There are also chairs in the aisle that are also marked. Those are for the 10 o'clock service only. There will be extra seating available on the balcony in the back of the church, in the choir alcove, and the service will be broadcast downstairs in the parish hall. There will also be overflow seating down there, and we will be broadcasting the service live to the basement, to the parish hall. If we can stick to the plan, if we can keep proper distancing, we can keep the people worshiping after you safe as well as you safe. I repeat myself. Other churches do not have multiple worship services and do not need to be thinking about these things. You are important. Please follow the instructions carefully. If you think these procedures are silly, then please continue to worship at home with our online worship. Online worship will continue every week, even once we start to gather in the building. Now, let's talk about worship. Worship online will remain exactly as it is now. We will not stream worship from church right away. The reason is because worship in the building will be almost exactly like what we are publishing online. Worship will be about 30 to 35 minutes long. This format has been working well online, and it should work well in the building. Why so short? We want to eliminate as much contact between people of one service and people from the next service. So this way there will be no crossing of people coming and going in the doorways. That means you need to come on time. period. Sitting during worship. We will remain seated for the entire worship service. Why? This will eliminate touching of the backs of the pews. Kneeling. We will not be kneeling. Why? For the same reason. It eliminates one more place of contact for the same reason. Sharing the peace. We will not be sharing the peace in any form. No fist bumps, no elbow bumps, none. Why? Again, no contact, at least for the foreseeable future. The other thing that's going to be different with worship is there will be no worship assistants. The only worship assistants we need are the 2 ushers for each service. We ask that they come on time, if not early, to get familiar with the new way of doing things. But those are the only worship assistants. Let's talk about the hymns in worship. The hymns will be the same style as the new online worship. They will be projected on the screen. There will be no organ. You can just sit and listen. You are not required to sing. Why? Well, the virus is transmitted by droplets expelled by breathing. That's why we will be wearing the masks. But scientists have found that singing releases even more droplets into the air, even while wearing a mask, more than ordinary breathing. In an enclosed space like the church, that becomes a problem. So, sit down, sit back, enjoy the music, hum along if you like, but we will not be singing, at least not right away. We will be doing Holy Communion, so let's talk about Holy Communion. We will share Holy Communion. However, we will be using something different. We will be using one of these. About the size of a coffee creamer cup that you'd get at a diner or a restaurant. The cup contains grape juice. The lid contains a wafer. You peel back the lid and voila, there it is, your communion wafer, all in one package. I will share God's blessing upon the bread and the wine on the altar. Afterwards, an usher will carry the tray of cups and wafers back to the entrance door. We will not be coming to the rail to kneel. We will not be distributing communion in the pews, but the ushers will take these to the door, and we will talk more about that in just a little bit. The why is there's just no good way to eliminate contact in distributing communion, except what we are proposing. Hopefully, we can get back to the way things were soon. But for now, please just smile and realize that we're going through this together. It's not just you. We're all in this as one. Then, when worship is ended, we will have an usher come into the pews who will dismiss you row by row, starting from the back. Please proceed to the main church doors. Please leave an appropriate amount of space between you and the person in front of you. And when you get to the back of the church, there will be 3 things for you to think about. Now, let's talk about the offering. I'm going to walk to the back of the church now. When worship has ended, ushers will dismiss you by row, starting from the back. Please proceed from your seat to the main church doors. Please leave an appropriate amount of space between you and the person in front of you. When you get to here, you'll notice the new offering box. It will be right here. Please place your offering in the box like this as you leave the church. Then as you continue, there are 2 things on this table that are important. First is the mask return basket, which will be here. If you borrowed a mask, please return it here. Used masks will be cleaned and sanitized so that we can use them again. We have enough cloth masks that we shouldn't have to reuse them more than every month or so. So they will be safe. Then I ask that you would take your gloves off at home. Please take your gloves home. Do not return your worship bulletin. Take that home with you. No matter what, please take it home. And then as you pass further down the table, the tray with Holy Communion will be here. Please take one for yourself and take it home. Please do not take them home for everyone in your family who was not in church. Please take it just for you. And that's it. That's it. It's not too bad, is it? Different? Yes. But there's no question things are going to be different. But it's going to be okay. I'm going to repeat myself once again. While all these procedures may seem limiting, wouldn't you rather be safe? Wouldn't you rather tell people that your church is doing absolutely everything we can to keep folks who come to worship safe? You know, I remember before all this started, folks made fun of me because we were elbow bumping instead of shaking hands. And look where we are now. This is nothing to make fun of. Worship is serious stuff, and so is your safety. I encourage you to maybe watch this video a few times, because the words I absolutely do not like to hear, yet I hear them way too often, are, "Oh, Pastor, I didn't know." Please be aware. That's your job now. Please be understanding. And please know that we will get through this. I have no idea when, but it is my hope that we will be back in the building soon. And when we are, it will be back in the building safely. We will send out announcements in as many ways as we can when that day comes. But until then, my friends, I hope to look at you all on Sunday morning for online worship. Online worship this Sunday. Online worship probably next Sunday, maybe a few weeks to come. And just remember, I love you all. Stay safe. I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.